By the way, best move in the offseason by the Eagles. Can I say this? Is the best move in the Eagle offseason Howie Roseman's 3-year contract extension? You think that was a joke before? That was a joke before. You think the best move that the Eagles have made, do you think it's Howie's 3-year contract extension? It's a lot of fun, isn't it? Big Sills, hour number 2. Hey, don't forget hour 3, Fans Perspective, Philly 500 in hour number 3. 5:30 Eastern. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? A lot of fun when you got a proactive general manager who doesn't sit back and do nothing. Xander said that was perfect comment that he made. Sills, wouldn't you rather have somebody doing something than nothing? Absolutely. Even if he's wrong. I will never kill somebody. Like, watch this. Daryl Morey is getting destroyed right now for the move that he made for Ben Simmons being sent to the Brooklyn Nets. That's not the kill. The kill is if he signs that guy to a max deal after what we've seen. That's the death nail for him with fans. You give that guy $50 million and in the final year of that 5-year contract, you're going to pay him $60 million? Why? Why would you do that? There's nothing wrong with the conception of the deal he made. It's the fact that, well, he ain't a max guy. Cut your losses. This was the thing that the Patriots were notoriously great at, was cutting their losses and getting out of the room. Howie has one deficiency as a GM. He's afraid to cut his losses. He takes too much time. Now he's patient. He's shown that this offseason here. He's been patient. Right? No risk it, no biscuit. That's exactly right, Jeremiah. Okay? At the time, everyone, Yale. The conception of the deal's not bad. Signing him to an extension and a max deal, that's the rub, right? That's the rub there. That's the rub. Obviously, let's reset here. James Bradbury has been signed to a 1-year contract, $10 million. And he fulfills the need for the Eagles at CB2. Really making the cornerback position a strength all of a sudden now with the Eagles, where it was a half deficiency. Darius Slay on the other side, you got some pretty good corners there now in the NFC East. And in a division that doesn't have elite quarterbacks, you could call Dak elite. His contract's the only thing elite. But there's not one elite quarterback in the division. Okay? Nobody's elite. I think it's one of the only divisions in football that doesn't have an elite quarterback. As usual, the Cowboys overpay for a position, and Dak Prescott's not elite. He's not an elite quarterback, at least in my book, in my view. Hey, Sills, let's say Jalen goes out and balls out and leads us to the playoffs and potentially to the Super Bowl. What does his contract start at? You're not paying Jalen Hurts $20 million or $25 per year. Okay? That's under franchise tag. Always remember, Randall, you've got to start at 29.7. Okay? 29, you got to start at $30 million. And next year, the franchise tag is probably going to be around 34, 33.7, something like that. That's going to be the benchmark. Could be 35 million, depending on what revenues are this year. So if you franchise tag him, it's 35 million. And if Jalen takes the team to the NFC Championship game, Jalen Hurts is going to be in line for a contract extension. And remember something about, hey, you know what's to his advantage? Say this here, guys. Do you know second rounders don't have an option year on a 5th-year option? They don't have that. like the first rounders do. So he doesn't have a fifth-year option on his contract. Okay? That's the advantage that he has going into this year. So in theory, he's kind of doing what Dak Prescott does. You know what that is? He's kind of gambling on himself here. He goes out and balls out. Starting price will be at $35 million next year. Okay? And then the Eagles will be kind of in the same position they were with Dak. Then you got to decide, do you think that Jalen Hurts is worthy of that contract? I never thought that Dak Prescott was worth $45 million. I wouldn't have paid it. I would have moved on and got someone else. Hell, I would have got Brady for 2 years until I got into this draft. Think about what Dallas missed out on. If Dallas had offered, instead of pass, Dallas could have passed on Dak Prescott. They could have passed on him. Signed Brady to a $40 million contract, had him for 2 years. Could potentially have won a Super Bowl. And going into next year, Brady's playing one more season. Brady retires. You go into the draft with 7 of those quarterbacks that are going into the 2023 draft, and you could have been on a rookie contract all over again. And you wouldn't have been stuck with an overpriced quarterback like you are now. Cowboys are stuck with 2 overpriced positions, running back and quarterback. And the Eagles are not. The running back, Miles Sanders, is the highest paid guy in the backfield with the quarterback. He's making 2.5. AJ makes 20, obviously, on the perimeter. The quarterback makes $1.5 million, 1.2 or something like that. Shit, Devontae Smith doesn't even make $1 million this year, base salary. I mean, they're in great shape financially, too. I get the 33. Xander saw that, and I agree. Deontay Coach says, Jalen Hurts is not Dak Prescott. He's not. He doesn't have as good an arm as he does. You're not the Cowboys because you don't know. Well, you did overpay for Alshon Jeffries and Carson Wentz. You did overpay for them. You're still paying $5.5 million with Alshon Jeffries on the cap this year. You still have dead money for a dude that's been off this team for 2 years. Brother, that's correct. Okay? Jerry was pushed into a corner. I would have signed Brady. I would have signed Brady for 2 years, then went into this draft. If you've got such a great scouting department and great personnel department as the Cowboys claim they do and say they do, you would have known that the 2023 class would have been a perfect lineup, and it would have fell in line with you having Brady for 2 years. Okay? I'm not paying Joe that much money. How much longer is Alshon on the books? I believe this is the final year. I think Xander said to me, the 5.5, this is the last year of that money that's still owed him. They had 5.5 on it last year. Steven, man, the Cowboys, they do a lot of good things, but then they overpay. And they overpay for players that are really good, but they pay them superstar money, then they earn cap hell. The Cowboys can't get out of their own way. They are so enamored with themselves, and they overvalue themselves so much. This is one thing Howie doesn't do. That's this 1 year, $10 million. Look, you know how he looks at this James Bradbury sign? He looks at this James Bradbury sign and says, I saved $3 million on a trade for the guy. Plus, get this. There's no way the Giants would have traded inside a division on a position of need for the Eagles. This fell right in their lap. Think about what this deal is. Think about all the pluses on this James Bradbury deal. He's in the same division that he's been prepping for every single Sunday when it comes to his, opponents that he's lining up on. He's a Pro Bowler. He's not going to be in, unfamiliar surroundings. He knows the Eagle organization because he knows even the wide receivers that are on the team now. He's played against the Giant wideouts every day. He's played against Washington's wideouts. I mean, he knows the entire division. How we got him $3 million cheaper, and you got a Pro Bowl NFC East cornerback at a reduced pay. I don't know. Hey, and by the way, will somebody tell me how old he is? Tell me how old that guy is. 2 Pro Bowlers at cornerback. Chris, can you name me other teams in the NFL that have 2 Pro Bowlers at corner? Boy, man, I can't think of them off the top of my head. Bucks? He's 28, 27? Jesus criminy. Dude, he's 28. Man, I think that's a steal. How do you think the Giants are looking at that today? The typical Giant stuff. Instead of finding a trade partner for him so you make sure he doesn't land in the East and on the Eagles, you let him walk. They must have been trying to trade this guy's ass, but nobody wanted to come up with the 13. Really? $3 million more? Boy, that just seems dumb. You couldn't have traded him somewhere out of the conference even. Jeff goes, I'd be working on a contract extension now. Hey, Jeff, I'm glad you see it my way, Jeff, because you should be excited. Some of the things that I bring up, I'm bringing up just, hey, let's question this here. Just remember what I'm saying. I'm burying the lead with you guys. Offseason, contenders, elite NFC. What more do you want? Am I sold on Jalen? No. I don't like to use the word hope. I think. Maybe. I like to look at resumes on what you are and who you are and where your feet is right now. That's how I look at things. These crystal ball readers that are on the radio and do shows are idiots. Forecasters, why don't you give me the numbers to Powerball? I'd rather have that. And if I hit Powerball, no disrespect to anybody, you won't see Big Sills tomorrow. I burn the boats. Don't you never find me again. I told people this a long time ago. If I ever struck oil or if I ever found $1 trillion, you'd never see me ever again. Okay? Hope is luck. I think great people and great men make their own luck. What's the head on your head about? It's a rugby team. It's the San Diego Legion. I do some work with the rugby. I love rugby. By the way, so does Jordan Mailata. Hope or luck, not here. I'm definitely drinking the Kool-Aid right now. You should, Chris. Chris, do you feel better today than you did in 2011 when they brought that dream team in? You had to. The coach was a terrible, terrible coach. I was so happy when the Bucks didn't sign that guy. There was talk that the Bucks were going to hire Chip Kelly. I was like, God, please don't. How do you know he's good? He's had a couple good years at Oregon. Who's not going to not be good at Oregon with Phil Knight giving you all that money and all those resources? You think there's any coincidence? How about this? Why do you think Oklahoma State is great all of a sudden? You guys have any idea? Tebow Pickens left an endowment for Cowboy football. That stadium's named T-Bone Pickens. There's a massive donor. T-Bone left just $1 billion to an endowment to the Oklahoma State Cowboy program. Where'd they come from? Money. Phil Knight, Nike. Okay? I want to see Mailata at running back for a couple plays. Andy Reid coach that dream team? Okay. Thank you, Randall. I appreciate it. I'm trying to temper my expectations. Jeremiah, I don't know you have to temper your expectations in May. I think it's exciting to be a fan right now for the Eagles. I don't have a problem with being excited. But don't, when I bring up something, look at it going, oh, you're talking. I'm not talking shit. What if I talk shit on? The same thing that everybody said here on JAKIB Sports, the quarterback play's got to still be a factor. How come when I say it, you think it's shit talking? When they say it, it's reality. Xander says that all the time. Sills, you say it and everyone goes nuts. But that's standard. That's standard. By the way, I want to say this, and I know my aunt's watching. I think you guys are going to love this. I got word last night that I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know if it'll happen. I do not, because I've been nominated before. But I'm nominated to the University of Miami Hall of Fame. So we'll see. We'll see. Hey, Sills. They don't like how blunt you are about the stuff. Okay? Yeah, Xander goes, that'd be legendary. I know, man. Thank you. East Cannon for life. Thank you, bro. It's something I want. Greg says, Big Sills, I still dream of the Eagles being a dynasty. Like the Patriots. You know, Greg, I think that's why they're doing it different this time. Okay? I think that's why they're doing it different. They're doing it through youth this time. Hey, Duck. I don't know either. Jimmy Johnson, Dennis Erickson, Ed Ogeron, Mario Cristobal, everybody have recommended me. There's nothing really left. Okay? There's nothing left. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you. So, yeah. So, it's a team sport. I want to read you guys something here. God, this James Brad. Hey, you know what I've heard too? You guys know I know people inside the Giant organization. I heard he's a great teammate. I heard the players love him. I heard they're very disappointed he's no longer on that team. Of course, he is. They said he's a great teammate. Okay? They do, man. They are very disappointed he's not in that Giant locker room. Okay? Thank you, Andrew. I know we get a little go back and forth, but that's what sports does, man. I'm so happy we get a chance to talk sports and not politics. Politics stinks. Okay? Because everybody gets their ass in a bind over it. Yeah, they do kind of in a way with sports too. So PFF came out with the top 25, top 20 players. I didn't put the top 25. I put 20. Players under 25. Eagles don't have a guy on this list. Nick Bosa is number 1. Justin Herbert, 2. Now, this is according to PFF, not Dan Sileo. Tristan Wirfs from the Buccaneers, offensive tackle. By the way, he just started following me on Twitter. The Iowa OT is 4. Justin Jefferson is 5. That's got to kill. Michael Parsons is 6. Jamar Chase is 7th. Jeffrey Simons, Tennessee, 8th. A.J. Terrell, Atlanta, 9. DK Metcalf, Seattle, 10. Rashawn Gary, Green Bay, edge rusher. Max Crosby, edge rusher, Raiders, 12. Chase Young, Washington, 13, edge. Rashawn Slater, Chargers, OT, 14th. See, CeeDee Lamb down at 17, wide receiver, Dallas. Antonio Winfield, Bucs, safety, 18. T. Higgins, Cincinnati, wide receiver, 19. Patrick Surtain, Denver, safety at 20. Do you think the Eagles have an elite player on their football team right now? Who's their elite player? AJ? This is PFF. Michael, this wasn't me. It's PFF. A.J. Brown, he's not on that list. Slay's not on that list. How is Manal on that list? Again, this is Pro Football Focus, not me talking. Devontae can be. Okay. Kelsey says, or Chris says, Kelsey looking tough in OTAs. Just, hey, man, he's a great locker room guy from what I heard today. I tell you this about the young team. I love that the Eagles have done something that is so important here. Okay? They are building this team with youth, and they're doing it. And you know what? I'll tell you, they're doing it with foundation guys. Remember I told you something that Tony Dungy told me, and Coach Dungy told me this a long time ago. He goes, you have to have benchmark guys on your team, foundation guys. When they were building the Bucks, Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp, John Lynch, Mike Allstott, Rondé Barber, they had 5 guys like that on their team that were benchmark football players. And what they did was they added the Simeon Rices, the Joe Jaravishes. They added guys to fill in the gaps. That's kind of what the Eagles are doing here. They're kind of filling in the gaps. Tony told me one of the most important things that you do in rebuilding a football team. Do we agree that 2017 Philadelphia Eagles team, it really wasn't built for the future? It was built for probably a 2-year window. We've talked about this. Probably had a 2-year window, right? This team, this team, the way it's constructed right now, look how young it is. Look at the offense. Can you imagine once Kelsey leaves? Think of this for a second on offense. Once Kelsey leaves, is there going to be a guy in that offensive huddle over the age of 30? Is there going to be a guy over 30? Lane will be. Lane will be, right? Yeah, Lane. Lane will be the only. Can you imagine that? You got 1 or 2 dudes that are over the age of 30 compared to the 17 team where they were in their mid-30s or late 30s. Zach, you're being built like the Dallas Cowboys of Jimmy Johnson. When you had, do you know when the Cowboys won their first Super Bowl? They were the youngest team in the league. They were the youngest team in the league when they built that team. Then they went out and they got the Charles Haley's, they got the Tony Casillas's, they got dudes like brought in Dion, right? This team's being built with youth. And what does youth mean? Okay? You know what youth means? Cheaper. You're not on gigantic contracts here. I got to tell you something. Let me say this to you right now. Who do you think has had a better offseason? Andrew Berry, Joe Douglas, or Howie Roseman? Has Howie Roseman, Xander, let's think about this. Somebody do me a favor, because it escapes me right now. Who's the general manager of the Denver Broncos? Who's the general manager of the Broncos? I'm trying to think if there's been a better general manager who has had a better offseason than Howie Roseman. Elway's not, he's not making decisions there any longer. I think that guy Patton is. Is that what you said, Xander? I think Patton's the guy. I think that's his name. Joe Patton or George Patton. I think it's, I forget his name. George Patton, that's it. Broncos and Eagles. Who's had a better offseason? Well, we'll see what this Judy thing comes out to, because that could be a factor for Russell Wilson not having one of his weapons. However, that's not something GM can do. Howie Roseman, the best general manager in the NFL right now? I don't know if he's the best GM, but he's done the best job. Since the last game of the regular season in 2021, has Howie done the best at not rebuilding? Well, maybe it is rebuilding. This has been a 2-year operation, right? Since the 4-win team. 4-11-1 just 2 years ago. 4-11-1 just 2 years ago. Now we're talking about being an elite football team. It's taken him 2 years to now for all of us to sit here and go like this. Look. God, this sounds so awful. I know. And by the way, he's shutting me up. There you go, GT. Howie's putting his foot in my mouth. Okay? Not just my own foot in my mouth. He's putting his foot in my mouth. And get this. You want that. You want that. We were all sitting here with no patience and saying all the same things. So in 2 years, a coach who was considered for the NFL Coach of the Year award, he had to have. He was 9-8. I mean, who would have thought that Nick Sirianni was a better hire than Urban Meyer? Who would have thought that? How many people, even when Nick Sirianni was hired, and everyone saw Urban Meyer getting all the pub and everybody giving all the kudos, I knew it wouldn't work. But you were all sitting in Philly probably going, Nick Sirianni, what? Who the hell is that? He must have said the same thing about Andy Reid, though, because Andy Reid wasn't the OC in Green Bay. He was a quarterback coach in Green Bay. Mike Holmgren called plays. Okay? Andy didn't call plays in Green Bay. He learned from Mike Holmgren. Okay? Holmgren was the play caller, plain and simple. Andy was like the quarterback coach up there. Was an offensive specialist coach. He wasn't the OC. So you're probably saying the same thing about Reid, going, who's this guy? He's not even the offensive coordinator in Green Bay. I guarantee you blasted his ass. That's what people do, because you look at Andy Reid and you go, who's that? You probably said the same shit about Doug Peterson. Who's Andy? Who's Doug? Doug's not even the OC in Kansas City. Andy Reid calls the plays, right? Tell me you were not saying the same thing that you said about Sirianni. So then you got to look at the general manager and the hire. Let me ask you something. This I don't know. Help me out on history. Guys, please hit the like button. Thank you guys so much. Tell me something here. Help me out on this. Who hired Andy Reid? Was it Joe Banner? Did Joe Banner hire him? Because Howie was in the build. Howie's been in the building since 2000. Okay, he was a capologist specialist or something like that. I read on his resume. Banner hired Andy, right? And Howie's a protege of Joe Banner. Is that correct? Is that how that dynamic worked? Scott Pioli told me, I think Scott Pioli, the former general manager of the Patriots, told me that the dynamic when Joe Banner was teaching Howie Roseman, and there was a progression that was in the works in the Philly front office that Jeffrey Lurie signed off on, was that Joe Banner was eventually going to step down and that Howie Roseman was to become the general manager of the team. And that's how that works. Scott Pioli told me that. I don't know if that's exactly the same, but I mean, does that sound right? Okay, so that's what I was told on how that works. So he's been in the building for Andy Reid. He's been in the building for Chip Kelly. By the way, Chip Kelly, doesn't that come off like that wasn't a front office decision? That was an owner decision. You know what's probably happened here? Guys, do you think that Howie Roseman got more power because he knew that the owner knew that he made a mistake by bringing Chip Kelly in on his own? You know, when they pushed Howie Roseman to the broom closet and stuck him in that corner, and Chip Kelly's walking around treating people who were going in to clean up the place like shit, he realized that he had made a mistake. Same thing that Shade Khan realized when they brought in Urban Meyer. And look how that dynamic changed. I guarantee you Shade Khan may have even called Jeffrey Lurie and said to him, why wouldn't Shade Khan have called Jeffrey Lurie about Doug Peterson? Jeffrey Lurie loves Doug Peterson. Jeffrey Lurie gave him great comments on the way out the door. So don't think that Shade Khan did not call the owner of the Jags, did not call the owner of the Eagles and go, what do you make of this? Because doesn't this look a little bit like, hey, I made a mistake in hiring Urban Meyer. I'm not going to make a mistake again. And I guarantee you Jeffrey Lurie probably told Shade Khan, the owner of the Jags, you got a football guy in the building now. You're not going to go wrong with him. But Doug needs a buffer. And that's why Trent Baalke's there. He needs a guy in the middle because he'll want to run the whole thing. And he needs some safeguards. Probably the owner's view. Am I right when I say that? Okay? Well, you don't think these owners are partners. If I was going to hire Doug Peterson, I would have called Jeffrey Lurie. What does he like to work with? What's the one thing I have to look out for? Hey, I'd keep Trent Baalke in there. You know why? It protects you. It protects you. That's why Byron Leftwich didn't want the job. The point is that owner realized when he hired Chip, hey, man, I shit the bed on that. That was not going to happen again. 3-year contract extension. This guy's shown that he's hiring right coaches. Guy moves off of Wentz, saves the owner a shitload of money, shitload of face. Right? Guys building the team up. They were 4-11-1 2 years ago. They go 9-8 with a brand new coach, second-round quarterback. You've made moves like this. How do you think, Lori? By the way, best move in the offseason by the Eagles. Can I say this? Is the best move in the Eagle offseason Howie Roseman's 3-year contract extension? You think that was a joke before? That was a joke before. You think the best move that the Eagles have made, do you think it's Howie's 3-year contract extension? Look at the things. That's something you have to think. Spa says, yes, it is. Yale says, perhaps he may have taken some risk he wouldn't have otherwise done. And I apologize for all the comments towards Howie. Chris, I don't know if you have to apologize. Howie's just righted it. You were concerned. There's nothing wrong with that. Right now, yes. See that right there, William? William says right now, yes. That's the NFL. You're only as good as your last offseason, and you're only as good as your last game, and you're only as good as your last moment, and your last draft, and your last meeting. You're constantly evaluated. That's the thing that I think fans miss out on. That is such a great take. Yes, right now. That's the NFL. Yes, right now. Carson Wentz is an MVP candidate. Yes, right now. Carson Wentz is a bum. Yes, right now. Dude, that changed in 18 games. He went from the darling in Philadelphia and an MVP candidate to a shitbag in 18 games. Yes, right now. That's the league. Okay? That's the league. Okay? Think about him. You're not wrong. Guys, when you criticize, watch this. When you criticize Daryl Morey or you criticize Joe Girardi or Nick Sirianni, and all of a sudden they have a 5-2 West Coast swing, and people start feeling good about the Phillies, you still have a right to go, well, what happened in May? What happened with the fact that that team last month was 500, underachieving? It's okay to be a fan like that. It's okay to say this. Hey, man, this football team that's being constructed by Howie Roseman, I mean, this thing, it's been upgraded. You know, one of the comments, and again, the main topic right out of the gate, has Howie's offseason made the Eagles elite? Okay? Has he made the roster elite? By the way, is it deep enough to handle the war of attrition? You're deep in the O-line. You're kind of pretty good at quarterback. If Jalen gets hurt, Minshew go in there and play. Are you deep at wideout? I don't think so. I think you only have one true NFL wide receiver there with another guy who can be a star. I think your tight end has a chance to be a star. Your left tackle has a chance to be Anthony Munoz. I said it. He's got a shot to be Anthony Munoz. You know what that means? He's got a shot to be pinned at that left tackle spot for 15 years. Okay? My problem on the other side is Reddick 6'1", 232. How are you using him? Jordan Davis was a pick I liked. By the way, I know Xander probably forgets this. One of the guys that I suggested right out of the gate was Nakobe Dean. And he goes, he's kind of small. He's a small backer. And I said, yeah, you know, they think a lot of him though, man. Because you know why? Tracy Rocker's in the room. Tracy Rocker was a defensive coach for Kirby Smart at Georgia. And I was talking to him. He goes, man, they really like this Nakobe Dean kid. I thought he was going to be picked up earlier, let alone a third rounder. Okay? And he goes, tells this guy, Jordan Davis, is just an athlete. The only thing that concerns me about that, once again, is his production has not lived up to that athleticism yet. Can he get better? Yeah, Calais Campbell did. Calais Campbell was an athlete at Miami with not a lot of production at Miami. I thought he was a good player at UM. He's been an exceptional pro. Calais Campbell is a better NFL player than he was college player. By the way, do you guys ever remember Frank Gore at Miami? Do you remember Frank Gore? He played in the backfield with like Clinton Portis, you know, I mean, McGahee, all them dudes. He was good. He got hurt a lot. Wasn't a very good pro. Now Frank Gore is one of the greatest running backs of all time. So, and again, elite, the roster is improved. Are you deep? Look at your D line and your front seven. Look at the rotations you have. And you know what's really great about what the Eagles have done defensively? 34-43. You can come at them with a 52, a 3-3-5, wide tackle 7. You can go wide 7s on them. Shit, you could line up in a wide 9 on some of these guys. You could put Dean on one end and you could put Reddick on the other end and do a wide 9 on them. You have that kind of capability. Still think your linebacking core, we'll see what Kaiser White does. Tom Telesco told me he really liked him. They just didn't have room for him. Okay? Hey, Randall, some of these teams, like the Ravens, run that wide 9. Dude, they just line these guys up and they sprint. And those tackles have to get out, and they're running games. Can you imagine the space between that OT and that guard when you got 2 tackles like Fletcher Cox, Hardgrave, and Jordan Davis in the middle there, and those tackles are getting out wide like that? You create a one-on-one in the middle there, and your 2 guys are inside there at 350 pounds apiece, and you're wreaking havoc. You're blitzing with guys like James Bradbury or Darius Slay, or you're bringing this kid Epps in on a blitz package. Not that Jonathan Gannon has done that. The defense now has options. Last year, they had no options. They played that stupid, soft zone defense. It's not going to, and that's why we were bringing it up a couple days ago. Guys like Derek Carr should not have a 90% completion percentage against any team. Dude, you see that shit in high school. Not in the NFL. 90%, 87%, 79% completion percentage. That was in a playoff game against Brady. Can't have that. A guy like Brady with a 79% completion percentage is going to destroy you. Right? Have they become elite now with what Howie has done? Hey, I'm going to rank the top 5 NFC teams. I'm going to do that. NFL standings. Let's do that. Guys, please hit the like button. Thank you very much, Charles. Have I taken a break? Have I taken a break? I don't even remember if I've taken a break. Well, I'll do it at the top here. Okay. What's the number 1 team in the NFL? What's the number 1 team in the number 1 team in the NFC? What's the number 1 team? Number 1 team, Rams. We agree? All of us? Rams? Rams, guys? I agree. Bucks? Bucks? This is where it gets a little. Packers, Niners, Eagles. Who's the 3rd best team in the NFC? Cardinals, also. One, two, three. Packers. Randall's got Packers. Packers not the 3rd. Why? Because of the loss of Devontae Adams? Tampa 2. I still think it's 49ers. Yeah, Steven, I still think it's the 49ers. I think the 49ers, man. Now, the problem with the 49ers, though, is you want to hear something crazy? I think they got more of a question mark at quarterback right now than what the Eagles do. You're going to take a guy out who's 36-17 and 5-2 in the postseason and owns victories over Aaron Rodgers out of the starting lineup for a dude you got bigger question marks on than Jalen. Am I wrong when I say that? I think you got more question marks in San Francisco. So, legitimately, I don't think I can put the 49ers third, because wouldn't that be hypocritical of me sitting here and banging on Jalen Hurts and going like this? Yeah, well, I like the Niners. Well, Sills, they don't even know who their quarterback is in September. At least the Eagles kind of know who – they do. They know who their guy is. You really legitimately cannot put a football team third in the NFC that has a quarterback question like San Francisco. Who do we play? And by the way, I think if you choose wrong, and this is why that's been a holdup, and I'm going to tell you something, that injury to Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't have come at a better time for San Francisco, because from what I'm hearing Kyle Shanahan is not really sold on Trey Lance. He loves Jimmy G. So does Kittle and all them dudes. Samuel and all them guys are like, I don't know if you guys be moving off this dude. We see Trey Lance in practice. The front office and John Lynch and them dudes are like, we traded all those assets with the Dolphins. We got to put the guy in. I don't know if that's a reason to make a move like that, especially when he's going to only make $25 million. Rams and Bucks. Who's third? I'm going to put over here to the side 49ers, Eagles, Packers, Cardinals, Seattle's out the building. Saints, Washington. Dude, this is going to be good. This is going to be – I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish a top 10 in the NFC. Don't forget, we're going to get a fan's perspective too. Philly 500 is going to join me in the bottom of the hour, in hour number 3 here. By the way, Kurt Schilling, I moved Kurt Schilling so that we could do this today. Schilling's on his farm right now up in Massachusetts, and I moved him so that we could do this. He texts me. I go, here. Let me show you this. Just so you know, Xander's like, dude, you moved? Here's Kurt Schilling. Look what he said. I'm in the barn, so you might hear chickens. You might hear chickens. I'm in the barn. But I'm not talking baseball and Phillies on a day like this. That's not how I work. I got no interest in talking about the Phillies or baseball or even the NHL. By the way, Bolts take a 1-love lead in the Eastern Conference Finals. Thank you very much. I got to do this. Let's take a timeout, hit the like button. I'm going to finish this top 10 here. I'm going to reset, and you should all be very excited about what's going on. I know it's May 8th, okay? This has been a whale of an offseason, and you may have just the best general manager in all of the NFL right now. Right now, like some of you say, and Howie Roseman, okay? Hey, guys, don't forget, our good friends at Morgan & Morgan. These are the people that you want to go to battle for you when it comes to your casualty case. No one like them. Nobody. And choosing an attorney if you're hurt or injured on the job is one of the most important things that you could possibly do. And that slogan that they have for the people, it's not a slogan. It's who they are. It's what they do. They've collected over $13.5 billion, okay? When it comes to their client, no case is too small. There's no such thing as a fender bender when it comes to Morgan & Morgan. Over 800 attorneys in offices in Philly, New York, Florida, across the country. Our good friends, man. John Morgan, I've been friends for 25 years. I've been friends with John Morgan. And John Morgan will tell you, this is our passion. It's not a job. It's our passion to serve you. And that's what he does. Okay. All over the country, their attorneys and their army of attorneys are here for you. They're the biggest casualty law firm in the country, and that's why size matters. The call is free, 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600. The consultation is free, 800-512-1600. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Someone is there to answer your call always. And do me a favor, when you call them, tell them Big Sil sent you.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. When you're hit from behind in a car crash, the insurance company may try to say, you can't possibly be hurt. It was only a few miles an hour. It's simply not true. You see, here's the thing. Getting hit at 10 miles per hour is like falling off of this. 15 miles per hour, like this. And only 25 miles per hour, this. Injured, dial pound law. There's only one Morgan & Morgan.